What's up, guys? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. It is a beautiful day here today because I have just located and finally purchased a cheap man lift. Now, as with a lot of things you guys see me buy, it is rough, but it's got a Deutz diesel in it, which I'm pretty happy about. The guy said it ran when parked, had a couple electrical issues, which we all know I'm not the best at electrical, but it was cheap enough. I only paid $1,000 for this thing. It's four-wheel drive diesel, 40-foot of reach on the basket, so hopefully there's life left in this unit. Getting it out of here may be a chore. I got one tire here that's completely off the bead. It looks like it has tubes in it, but I don't have anything to air them up anyhow. There's bushes and trees grown through it. And this big tree here that's not helping matters any either. I think it's been here a while. But fingers crossed we can get this thing out and onto my trailer. All right, we couldn't budge this thing, so I found out after a quick Google search you can take this little plate off, flip it over, bolt it back down there, and it depresses something in this hub that's supposed to release it. And the whole machine jumped when I did that, so that's a good sign. Hopefully we can get this thing moving. That was an ordeal, but we got it on there. Of course, once we got it up over the hump on the trailer, it was right about where I wanted it, and then it started to coast a little bit on its own, so we're a little tongue heavy now, but we'll be all right. So just got it back to the farm, got the chains off of it. Gonna get it unloaded here. That's gonna be interesting. I'm not gonna get to work on this thing for a little while. I've got too many other projects in the works for you guys. I don't want to start on another one here. All right, I gotta try to hurry up here because it's supposed to start raining any time now. And this is gonna be fun because as we pulled it up on the trailer, I had to keep adjusting the steer wheels. Luckily that guy had a machine there and was able to keep bumping the wheels around for me to get it up on the trailer. I'm by myself, so I'm gonna pull it with the machine, maybe have to disconnect the chain, come back, fix the tires, pull it, tires, pull it, you know. Probably gonna be some bouncing back and forth. It's pulling pretty easy, but it's wanting to come to this side, I guess, because both tires are flat on this side. As you can see, we're already a couple inches off the trailer. I'm going to reposition the machine and just try to drag the whole thing uphill a little bit. We are slightly leaning this way. Whoever put this driveway in, man, they should have leveled this thing better. Whew. Well, that could have gone worse. The wheel did jump off the ramp there at the end of it, but it only fell 6 inches or so. It didn't hurt anything. So I'm going to pull it a little bit further out this way, and then I'm going to hook the chain to the rear end, or the steering end. I don't know which way this really is. I guess that's the front. And then I'm going to try to pick it up. That way I can walk backwards with it and take it back there to the building. And that way I won't have to worry about those steering wheels dragging me all over the place. Alright, and there it's gonna sit until I get some time to work on it, which will be in about 3 seconds for you guys, but for me, could be months. My name's Matt. Behind me, this old Manlift that I drug home like 18 months ago or something crazy. It's been sitting here in the healing weeds long enough. I don't think it's healed itself yet, so I think it's finally time we better get on this thing, and hopefully we're going to be able to get this thing at least running today. And I think the electrical is going to be a real bag of snakes, so we're going to have to get into this thing and see what we can do. This is a JLG 40HA, as you can see on the boom there. And this is a 4-wheel drive Manlift that'll scope out 40 feet. And yeah, just super handy to have. The story I got on this Manlift is that it was sitting for about 10 years whenever I picked it up, so a little bit longer now. But anyway, they parked it because it was having electrical troubles, and I've had this panel open before. It's a mouse nest in behind there. There's probably another one. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it. Just a big wad of wiring harness coming down there. There's wires everywhere in this thing. It doesn't look like it's going to be fun to work on as far as the wiring goes. Not only do we have the wiring in the actual machine, but up here on the basket control, there's a ton of wiring in there too. And you can see right there, the mice have been getting in and out of there, and they've no doubt just destroyed everything. So I think it would be just a little bit too ambitious to say that I hope to have this thing operational today, but I am hoping that we can at least get the thing running, because if it doesn't run, there's no point in worrying about the wiring anyway. So let's get to it. Ugh. So what do we got under the hood here? Besides a big, dirty, nasty mess, we have a Deutz F2L 1011. These Deutz diesels are air cooled, so it sucks in air right here, pushes it through a blower fan right there, and then runs across the backside of the cylinder heads and exhausts the air somewhere up in this region. This guy up here is an oil cooler, and it is jam-packed with mouse nest and everything else known to man. So we're gonna have to, oh yeah, you can really see there's like a whole nest falling down out of here. So there is no liquid cooling system on these engines. They are strictly air cooled, and what happens a lot of times is just like that, the mice will build big nests in behind the cooling shrouds. People don't know it or notice it, and they fire the engine up and start running it, and then it's not getting any cooling, and they will overheat the engine. So the first thing we're gonna do is gonna pop that cover off there and see what kind of mouse condominium we're working on. Probably have to blow all that out really good, and then we'll just keep going from there. I've never tried to see if this engine turns over. I don't know what kind of condition anything else is in. The guy told me it ran when parked, but that information tends to be a little more than unreliable. So watch the pulleys down here. We're going to see if this thing turns. I'm going to put a little paint mark on this pulley so you guys can tell if it's moving. All right, I've got the old nut rounder put on this belt here. Oh, look at that. I barely even put any pressure on it. It's moving nice and easy. That's a great sign. I wasn't even ready to turn it yet. I just rested my hand on it. Yeah, look at that. It's turning. So with a diesel, to me, that's like half the battle. If the engine will turn, usually a good indication that it's going to run. So that's checkpoint number one. Let's pop this air cover off of here and see what kind of mess we have behind there. You guys ready? I've got a feeling it's going to be a bad one. Oh boy. It's not good, but I tell you what, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Gotta evict these guys. And you can tell they've been in there for quite some time. Oh boy. The wire destruction is apparent already. Ugh. Just eons and eons of mouse poop just flowing out of this thing. Well, better take a deep breath and hold it. Things are about to get gross. All right, after about a half an hour with the compressor there, it's blown out pretty good. She's got plenty of oil. In fact, it's pretty well over full. Doesn't smell like diesel, and it's not super black. So I don't know what the deal is there, why it's over full. If anything, the way it's sitting, it should be a little low. So that's interesting. Check out this air filter. And then look at that. I believe that says 8/20/05. So August 20th of 2005. The paper's yellowed, but it really doesn't look very dirty at all. Definitely plenty good enough for us to try to start this thing up. Doesn't look like anything could have gotten past the filter. And if that's the hours, only 1,522 hours when they changed it in 05. Well, I would assume the last time, and you know what they say about assuming, I would assume the last time they changed that air filter, the hour meter was working, otherwise they wouldn't have recorded the hours. And it's only at 1,530.1 now. So yeah, they haven't put any time on it, if that works. So we're almost ready to hook up a battery to this thing and see if it's going to catch on fire. I'm going to come over here and check out this diesel fuel tank and the hydraulic oil. And I think I can see a little bit of red diesel down there yet, but I noticed this. There's supposed to be some sight glass tubes that are in here. So like a clear hose that goes from the top to the bottom of the tank so you can clearly see the level. And they must have deteriorated and fallen off because there's nothing left of the hoses there. So that has theoretically been letting water in for this whole time. So I can't trust these tanks right now. We're gonna have to probably clean those out pretty well. So because the fuel tank is potentially contaminated there, we're gonna go ahead and pull off this fuel line so that we don't suck up any of that crappy fuel. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Diesel fuel lasts a long time in storage, and I'm sure it'll still run on this, but man, it smells like Minwax. It's old. So the last thing we need to do before we can hook up a battery, I wasn't joking when I said hook up a battery and potentially see if it sets on fire. I'm gonna open up this panel with all the electronics behind it, and we're gonna see what that looks like in there. Yeah. I don't think that's supposed to be in there. Well, it ain't good. The longer that you look, the worse that it gets. It's a literal rat's nest. There are wires skinned down to nothing everywhere. Oh man. I would say that 2/3 of these wires that are messed up here, I could probably just get in here with some liquid electrical tape and coat them back up. But at the same time, some of them are got the green death in them already, so that's going to start causing resistance in the wires and could cause a lot of issues here. To replace all these wires, I mean, you're talking about days worth of work here. You know, you can see people have been in here before and got butt connectors in this thing. Like it's bad. So I'm here studying things in this panel, just kind of looking around us, familiarizing myself with it. And lots of things are labeled, which is nice. You got like high engine right there, which must be the high idle. You got ignition on, pump dump, brake valve, but I don't know what this one is here. R13 says bang bang dump. I have no idea what that could possibly be for. On this panel there's a master switch on and off, and it's in the off position, and I can't turn it. I don't have the proper key, and I tried to just stick a screwdriver in it. I can't make it turn, so we're gonna have to bypass that for now. We're just gonna connect these two wires together. All right. Well, we have that master switch bypassed. Let's go ahead and hook up some power and see if this thing's going to burn to the ground. All right, I got my jump pack on this thing. I'm going to connect the ground here and watch for sparks. I'm hearing some relays come alive there. That's kind of a good sign, I think. Just going to watch it for a minute here, make sure nothing's smoking in here and over in the engine compartment here. Nothing's on fire, so that's a good sign. Just gonna bump the start button for the heck of it, see if anything happens. Ready? Contact. Nothing. Well, this one says ignition. We might need that one. Ooh. Yeah, stuff actually kicked on. Yeah, the hour meter's counting. That means the hour meter's accurate. Only 1,530 hours on this old girl. Now let's bump the start button, see if anything happens. Contact. Let's see if it'll make a full revolution. You ready? Contact. Look at that. Oh, we got a cracked fuel line down here before the filter. It's pouring fuel out of there. Good we found that out before we connected some real fuel to it. I think I have some 3/8 fuel line on the truck, so we're gonna go ahead and replace that line all the way from the injectors to the filter housing here. And then, because we can't trust that contaminated tank, we're gonna go ahead and rig up a temporary tank. There we go. This is a very hard and brittle line. All right, the fuel line is replaced. There's a water bleeder on the bottom of this fuel filter. I'm gonna crack that open before we start pushing new fuel in there, see what kind of crap comes out of that thing. There we go. Surprisingly, I don't see any water in it. Looks like it's just old fuel. That thing's good to go. So for a fuel supply here, I mentioned that we were gonna bypass the factory tank for now. So I've got this pickup rod here. Slide it down into some fresh fuel. This is the lift pump. It'll draw the fuel up out of the tank, run it down through here, through the filter. We're gonna crack this fitting right here so that we can bleed any air out of the system up to this point. From the filter, we're gonna follow the line up. We're gonna crack these two banjo fittings here loose, which will in turn let the air bubbles come out of the system right at these individual injection pumps. And then it might be a trick to get the actual injectors loosened up. That looks like you need a special socket that I don't have with me here. Last but not least, the end of the fuel system here after the injectors, whatever doesn't get used up in the combustion process comes back out here through these return lines and goes back to tank. Well, in our case, this fuel line is ripped, so we're gonna end up dripping fuel all over the place here, but just for temporarily, we're gonna go ahead and try it just to say that we did. It won't push very much fuel out. So let's try and bleed this thing out. All right, we should be ready to bleed this thing. Contact. That noise sounds less than stellar. I'm hoping that's just the starter making that racket. We're just... Oh yeah. We got fuel at our banjo fittings here. Got fuel up here now. Tighten these guys back down. That just leaves these two fittings right here. I think I already see fuel percolating out of this one. Shouldn't be long now. Oh yeah. Yep, we've got fuel. We've even got it coming out of the return up there already though, which I didn't anticipate. Yeah, that's pushing quite a bit of fuel out of that return. We might need to fix that before we can move on, unfortunately. All right, got a new piece of lines spliced in there. We don't appear to have any leaks. This thing potentially could fire up right now, I think. So I think we're nearly ready to try to fire this thing up here, but the last thing I need to do, this throttle, this is a throttle arm right here, that is electronically controlled by a servo motor over here, and I don't know that any of that stuff's working right now, and I kind of doubt that it is. So what I want to do is loosen up this cable on here, so I have manual override control. Interesting. I don't know, that sucker appears to be pretty darn stiff in there. I don't know why that would be. That should be free moving as far as I know. Hopefully there's nothing majorly wrong with this engine. So that should be your shutdown right there. That should kill the fuel to the engine. I don't know. Things are starting to concern me here. We had that weird noise, and the throttle shaft isn't wanting to move. So I don't know. We're still going to give it a go, but I'm not feeling overly confident, to be completely honest. I've been cranking it over here, bleeding the fuel system, as you guys saw, and in all that time I haven't seen any smoke come out of the muffler up there. So I guess I'm going to start cranking it over and just giving it a little whiff of ether, and hopefully she takes off and doesn't throw a rod through the side of the block or something. I also, even if it starts, I can't run it very long because there's no hydraulic oil in it or anything, so I don't want to run the pump dry. I just want to proof of concept that this engine runs before I go spending any more time on it. All right, we got ignition. Here goes nothing. Contact. All right, I don't know what happened there. I think the solenoid for the starter stuck. My jump pack here. Oh yeah, the jump pack needs charged up pretty bad. She's run down. Let me get some better batteries and a cable on this thing. All right, got a better battery installed, hopefully. Let's give this thing another shot. Contact. Oh. Come on, baby. Oh, it wants to go. Contact. Oh boy, well, let's give this starter a break here. All right, let's give this thing another go here. Some engines, and this one seems to be one of them, do not like ether, and they will do what's called an ether lock. So it's like you're putting too much material in the cylinder and it can't compress it, and you'll hear it kind of knocking. So my way around that is just to very, very, very lightly spray it, and you do it as it's rotating. You don't spray and then rotate. So we'll crank it over and just give it just the teeniest little whiff. We actually have some smoke coming out of the exhaust now though, so that's a good sign. We're getting somewhere. Contact. See, we are just cranking over kind of slow here. I don't know whether we have some weak connections or some corroded connections or what. Our battery terminals look good. I don't see anything smoking, but the lead going out to the starter, she's definitely warm. I think we're gonna let this thing sit a little bit again, give that starter a chance to cool down. I don't want to burn out the starter on the first day here. I don't know what's going on here now. We had smoke before, but we're not getting smoke now. So that tells me we're probably not getting fuel now. Come on. Oh no. Come on, starter, hang in there. I think it's trying to go. It's puffing a little bit right now. Yeah, it's catching on a cylinder. I don't think we're getting fuel pressure here. It seemed like it was working at first there, but now it doesn't, so I don't know. This is round 2 here. So what happened, you guys could see we were able to bleed everything with the fuel pump there at first. After we cranked it for a little while, though, apparently something went bad in this lift pump because now it's not pushing any fuel. I had to bypass the lift pump entirely. I put a gravity feed tank up here, which is still running through the filter and everything, and I just re-bled everything. So hopefully this thing's gonna go now. Contact. Oh, we had one little pop. Take 378 or so. Contact. Oh, we had a puff. Oh, baby, it was running there for a second. Contact. I don't think it's getting enough throttle, and that's got something to do with this seized up throttle shaft down here. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Oh man, it really wants to go. Dang it. We're just running out of juice here. I don't like it. Why are we losing prime again? All right, I threw a fresh battery in this thing. Really crossing my fingers hoping she fires up here. Ready? Contact. Keeps giving me a solid puff, but not enough to keep her running. That's why the starter's grinding. It actually gets one good rotation, but the other cylinder I don't think's picking up. It just keeps doing it. Just need the starter to hold on a little bit here. Oh, I think we got it now. All right, contact. Man, that starter grinding is killing me. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Yes. I am glad to hear that. Oh, why is it dying out again? Yeah, once again, I've got an air bubble in the system and it's not getting enough fuel up here to the top. So I'm gonna have to order a new lift pump here, but I'm not afraid to spend a little bit of money on it now because I heard the thing run. It doesn't sound like it's gonna throw a rod out of the block or anything. It does have a slight knock maybe, but not that bad. That might also just be because it wasn't getting the right amount of fuel. Oh, this poor starter. Come on, baby, come on. Yeah, she's just not getting enough fuel. Hopefully I'll have a fuel pump for this thing tomorrow and we can keep going. All right, so it is actually the next day and no luck at the local Napa with a lift pump. So I just rigged in a little clickety-clackety electric pump here, and we're gonna have to prime the whole system. Still getting some fuel leaks down off of some stuff here. I was also able to get the throttle shaft freed up. I think I told you guys yesterday I couldn't get the move here. I loosened this thing off the cable thinking it should slide then. What I didn't realize is there's a teeny little set screw in the center here that was clamped down on the cable as well. So once I remove that set screw, she moves nice and easy. Anyway, let's get the clickety-clackety pump going here. We'll bleed this thing and hopefully it's gonna fire up. It's awful cold this morning though. This is the first day of the year that we're down into the 30s. My thermometer at the house when I left said 32, so fall is coming. Fuel pump's engaged. Got her stuck on high idle there. Contact. Oh, come on, baby. You got it. Come on. Well, it popped a couple times like it was going to go. I think we actually sent an air bubble into the fuel system there. The way I have this temporary tank rigged up, we're only pushing fuel to the injectors and the return side's going back to the other old tank that we can't trust. So I'm actually wasting a little bit of fuel doing this, but at least I wasn't hacking up the rest of this fuel system and running fuel lines every which way. So overall though, super successful. I'm really glad to hear this thing run after it's been sitting here staring me in the face for like 24 months or whatever it is. I almost kind of think that it has like a slight knock at the bottom end, but when I rev it up, it doesn't sound like that anymore. It kind of clears up. So that could be other things. It could be injector knock. It could just be the way these engines sound. Like I have a VW Rabbit up there that's a diesel, and when I fired that thing up, I was really thinking that it had a rod knock to it. But everybody on YouTube tells me that's just the way they sound. So if you've ever been around these Deutz FL2s, is that the way they sound? I don't know. But yeah, still super stoked that this thing runs. Oh, good. It's my favorite thing in the world. If you don't have something that really gets you excited, I recommend you go find something that does, because just getting something like this fired up for the first time really just makes my whole day. In fact, this will probably make my whole week. But that tickles me to death. It seems like it runs all right, other than that slight knock, but again, that could be other things. All right, I just put some more fuel in the tank. We got everything bled out again. See if this thing fires back up. I'm really kind of concerned about this knocking sound we got. That starter still isn't liking me either. Well, the electric shutdown actually works, so that's good. Maybe there's not going to be as many problems with this thing as I thought. Well, I don't know. I think we're going to end this video on a good note, though. This machine actually runs, so that means that it's worth investing some more time and effort into. As you guys saw, the wiring is just an absolute disaster on this thing, and that's just part of it. I have a very bad feeling that the wiring up in the basket is going to be twice as bad. Well, everybody, I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video right here. This has been a really fun one, and I'm very glad that after letting this thing sit here and marinate this long, I was able to get it actually fired up. It's really disappointing if you sit on a project for forever, and then when you finally get to it, you discover it's a complete piece of junk. So I think we got something to work with here. In the next video, we're going to have to fix up those tanks on the other side. We're going to have to put in a bunch of hydraulic oil, and man, I think it holds like 30 gallons or something. It's a lot. Hydraulic oil. We're going to have to clean the fuel tank out and fix it too, so that we can put some fuel in there. That way we can run this fuel system on a closed loop and actually let it run a lot longer. And we're going to have to investigate that rod noise that I hear, potential rod noise anyways, that knock. We're going to have to drain the oil, inspect it for metal shavings or anything like that. The oil looked pretty clean, so that's one thing that kind of scares me a little bit about it. Maybe the previous owners ran it and developed a knock, and they changed the oil, and you know, maybe they saw some metal in it or something, just put oil in it, parked it, and then waited 10 years for me to come along. Stuff like that happens. And of course, after all that's done, if the engine's good and doesn't need to be torn down and overhauled or something, which I would do because this thing's worth it. If you can find a Manlift set up like this right now, 4-wheel drive, diesel, 40-footer reach, I'm thinking you're going to be in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $15,000 if it's turnkey, ready to go to work. So I would overhaul this engine if that's what it comes to. But that aside, if the engine's good, which fingers crossed it is, we're going to have to go through the electrical. You guys have seen one half the electrical system. I'm betting big money that the electrical system under the panel in the basket is going to be just as bad, if not worse, than this one. So that's going to be a fun adventure. We got a lot of wires to be fixing. Anyways, all that and more in the next video. Do me a big favor. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button down below the video. It really helps out the channel. It doesn't cost you guys a dime. If you're not already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens to this thing in the future, because there's going to be probably several more videos coming on it, and I'm sure I'll be using it in videos after it's up and operational. If you like the channel and you want to help support it, head on over to dieselcreek.com. The link's down in the description. Pick yourself up some sweet Diesel Creek merch over there. I got all new fall merch in the works right now, so if you like any of that stuff, head on over there. Get yourself a hoodie, a shirt, a hat, some stickers, whatever it is. We've got new sticker packs on the way as well. So all that and more over at the store. That's all I got for right now. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.